Okay, everybody, here is another subject that I wanted to talk about here from the Lakeside room, and this is on the subject of reconciling. And when I think of the subject of reconciling and working things out, I think about the Beatles song, "We can work it out, we can work it out. Life is very short, and there's no time for fussing and fighting, for fussing and fighting. We can work it out, we can work it out." Yeah, we can work it out. And yeah, I wanted to talk about this because in real life, it happens where between family members, friends, and couples, there can be problems and there can be disagreements and misunderstandings and moments of tension. And during all of these negative and stressful times, there can be words that are said that people regret. There can be people who are in a really bad mood, and that can make things worse. And, well, the encouragement here is that whenever a problem happens, let's do everything we can to work things out. Because when we can work things out, then we can get back to a much happier place between ourselves and other people, instead of letting things get worse. And we know what can happen if certain problems are left unresolved. There can be relations between family members which are strained for a long time, and between two or more people who are not related to each other. We can see some people never work things out and they never speak to each other again. And yes, I get it that some people, especially people out there who are not related to us, there can be people who are real trouble, and in some cases, it might be good to let some people go and never speak to them again because they are a really bad influence. But it's good between family members and other people to at least work things out. And during any kind of problem, we can remember a few things. We can remember to think before we speak, whether it's over a text message where we have the option to say something back or say nothing, or in person or on a phone call. Definitely think before we speak. And yeah, we can definitely help ourselves where we just refrain from saying anything that is really bad towards another person. Because if someone has hurt us, well, we don't want to hurt them back, because then we are doing the same bad thing that someone did to us and making a problem worse. But rather, we can just stop and try to make things calm. And I think about what I have read before in the book of Proverbs, and this is in chapter 15, verse 1, which says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And if we are ever having a problem with someone, and maybe someone is angry and raising their voice, well, instead of us getting angry and raising our voice back at that person, maybe we can diffuse the situation by staying calm and saying, let's just stop, let's stop, and let's work this out. Before it gets worse, let's work this out. And I have thought of times where, I have been in that kind of spot where there might be a moment of tension, and, well, I could have raised my voice right back, but instead, I did not want to argue and say anything that I regret, and it's all about trying to diffuse the situation. And I think that has been helpful for me when there have been disagreements between certain people I know, and maybe a few times with gate customers who may not like a certain policy that we have, like when I'm talking to the motorcycle people in the summer, and I have to tell them during this time of year no motorcycles are allowed in town, but I would be very happy to offer you a free spot to park right outside of the gate, and then I will give you a free pass to go in for a couple of hours to shop or get something to eat. I say it in a calm way like that, and standing my ground, of course, but it's saying it in a calm way. And, well, with some of the motorcycle people, I know that some of them have reacted in a way where they have accepted that, and then some others have been unhappy with that policy, and they some of them have said a few things to me over time, but I've just let that go, and I have not made the situation worse, because I don't want to make it worse. It's all about trying to work things out, and that can apply to any of us, with our family members, our friends, and for couples as well. And also, something that any of us can do is to keep on improving ourselves. And if there is anything that we are doing which might be stirring up trouble, then we could work on ourselves so we can reduce the moments where trouble happens. For example, if and I've never been through this, but say that I was constantly drunk at home and constantly angry, then that can lead to problems, because I would be stirring up trouble real fast, where my judgment is impaired, and being angry can lead to words and actions that lead to problems. And, well, I can think of people out there who are like that. They are drunk and angry at home a lot of the time, and it leads to problems. But if I was ever like that, or if someone out there is like that, then we can do our part by getting sober and working on our mood, where we go from angry all the time to calm and strong, like strong in a peaceful way, where we are always on top of it and controlling our mood so we can be in a good and calm place. And we can definitely help ourselves where we can reduce the amount of problems that can happen. Or if we have other issues, like say that there is an issue with the amount of money, there might be a little bit just too little money to work with because we are spending it too much. And then we are struggling to pay for food and clothing and bills. Well, we can help ourselves out by saving our money instead of spending it with no control. We can actually gain control and really work on it by saving our money. We can do our part by helping ourselves out, saving our money and helping our budget and reducing the amount of problems that we have. It's all about what we can do on our part. If there's anything that we've been doing which has led to problems, or if someone is raising their voice towards us for whatever reason and they're saying mean things, then we can stay calm, think before we speak, and work things out. Because that way, we can preserve the relationships that we have between family members, friends, and couples. And especially when it is between ourselves and someone else who is a good person to have in our life. Like I said, I know there can be some trouble people out there, and yeah, I can think of some people when I was younger who were trouble, and I think it's good that they went their own way, and I have never seen them again. But I can think of a number of people who have been good to me and they continue to be good to me. And well, I do not want to share the specifics here of what happened a few years ago, but I know between myself and somebody else, there was a certain problem that happened, and I did not like the way that I was feeling after that moment. And I could have gone up to this person and said, I really do not like what happened. And I could have yelled at them. But instead, I calmly explained how I felt, and everything was worked out in a peaceful way. And we still have a good relation today. Yeah, I think back on that story and the problem that happened, and things were worked out peacefully. Instead of me deciding to yell at someone and possibly damaging our relation in a permanent way, I chose to go in the way that was calm and firm and honest, and things were worked out. Things were worked out. And yeah, forgiveness happened, and a lesson was learned. And yes, I hope that we can all learn to work things out and forgive each other, and that we can also all work on things. Because throughout our life, yeah, especially once we follow God, there are things that we can always improve on, and it really is a rich and rewarding journey to mature. It really is a rich and rewarding journey on the road of maturity. And I have seen that over the last 15 to 18 years of my life, ever since I started to care about God, and I have learned more and more in the Bible, and that has really transformed me with my decision making and my behavior and everything. And, well, I also think of one other verse. You know, when I was putting things together for this video, I thought of one other verse that I wanted to share here for this video. And this is in the book of Ephesians. Yes, I love Ephesians and Proverbs very much. And in the book of Ephesians, it is chapter 4, verse 32, which says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." Yes. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. And also, if we look at the verse before it, in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31, it says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice." And it leads on to the verse that I have mentioned. "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." Yes, I hope that people out there can get rid of all of the anger and rage and negative emotions that they have, and they can strive to be a calm and peaceful and honest person, and we follow the Lord's way, and we can be honest in a way where we are not yelling or being really scary and intimidating to others. And whenever a problem happens, that we do not go into a meltdown and we take out our anger on other people. But rather, I hope that we can be strong in controlling our emotions during the times when there can be a problem. And problems and emergencies can happen in life. You know, there can be disagreements on viewpoints. There can be times when somebody says something which they did not intend to be harmful, but it is misunderstood. And there can be emergencies, like if the car breaks down, and then it can be a costly repair. You know, there can be problems that happen in life, but it's how we respond to all of these problems, with the emergencies or with what people are saying, or if there are disagreements. It's how we respond to these things. And I hope that we can control our emotions and our words and our actions with everybody and with every situation, so we can work through these problems in a way that is better than being angry and yelling at people. But let's try to work things out peacefully, and remember that song, "We can work it out, we can work it out, we can work it out." Yes, that is my encouragement to everyone out there. Let us work things out. And that is with everybody. And like I said, there are some people that can be a bad influence, and it can be really helpful for some people to just go away so they do not influence us in a bad way even more. But especially among the people that we have who are good, let us work things out. And I hope that you can remember everything I've said today. I hope I explained everything in the correct way and what can line up with the Bible. And during any time in your life where there is a problem or an emergency, I hope that you can handle it well and work things out, especially when there are problems between people. Let us work things out. And I think that is everything that I have wanted to say about this topic. And I might be able to record one more video in this room during my stay here on this trip to Lakeside. And since this will be the final talking video I post before Christmas, I would like to say Merry Christmas really soon. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and in all the days leading up to Christmas and right after. Let's make it a good Christmas celebration. And I think I will have one more talking video in the month of December. And then we get into January and February, where I am expecting more work in North Carolina, where I am transporting more boxes to Cincinnati. And I'm sure I will record a few more things in North Carolina in that time. But then we get to the month of March, and I would think it will be sometime in March or early April that I can get back to Ohio full time, and then I can get back to Lakeside full time, and I will be happier. And I am ready for that time when the longer daylight is here and it gradually gets warmer, and I can finally get back to this town and this house where I am at the most happy. That will be great. And you can stay tuned during my adventure during this fall, winter, and spring. And it has been a lot on me, but I am surviving. And here we are at the end of this year, at the end of 2025, and we have survived. And I hope that as we walk into the new year of 2026, that we can survive another year. And whenever a problem occurs in the new year and all the years after, that we can work things out. That we can work it out. We can work it out. We can work it out. Let us work things out. I just wanted to say all of that today, and this video will be here on YouTube. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas, and I will see you all later for more videos here on YouTube. Thank you.